Welcome to a new episode of MP's Stories. In this story, we would be actually talking about East Asia. I have been fortunate working at University for Peace and working in the field of peace and conflict resolution to travel all over the world, and more particularly to meet people from parts of the world that I have never anticipated that I would meet. People from China, from Japan, from Korea, from Philippines, from Vietnam, from Cambodia, among many other countries in East Asia, are wonderful people that I have been fortunate to meet through my work at University for Peace and beyond. Students of those countries come to University for Peace like everyone else, and I learned so much from them and had really great friendships with so many of them over the years. In addition to teaching them in Costa Rica at the University for Peace's main campus, I also sometimes go to teach them in the Philippines in Ateneo de Manila University. And I usually go there and teach a course on religious violence and religious extremism. We talk about all types of religions. We talk about Hinduism, we talk about Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and also non-religion, and how it may have an impact on how people developing ideologies that are violent and extremists. So I remember in one of the classes I was teaching last year, 2019, I had this wonderful group of students, as you see in the picture. And I was talking about the religions, the Abrahamic faith religions, the Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And I was talking about God has been sending prophets to spread his message. And those prophets are the ones who established the different religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, and so on. And as I'm talking and assuming, of course, everyone is following what I'm saying, there was this brilliant young woman from Vietnam. And I want to say that I did ask her if I can share that story. And she kindly agreed that I share the story and even to mention her name. So I want to say thank you, Z, for allowing me to share this story. So as I was talking about prophets and what they do and how they spread the message, Z just raised her hand quietly and she said, can you please tell me what is prophet? I don't know this word and I'm not sure what you mean. I was very surprised, obviously, that the word itself was not clear to Z. And I needed to make sure that I go back and explain the concept of God sending messengers, and those messengers, we refer to them as prophets, and why they do what they do. Because obviously this entire concept was absent from her own context, whatever that context is, but definitely she is from Vietnam, doesn't belong to any of the Abrahamic faith, and in her own context, that notion of prophet was not something that she came across before. Obviously, that was quite a surprise for me, but it confirmed to me that in multicultural settings, let us not take for granted that people understand some of our assumptions or our concepts, let alone disagreeing with them. But of course, it can come to even as far as not knowing what we are talking about. And that was a brilliant opportunity for me to explain the concept from a basic level. So I make sure that Z and other people understood that notion. And as I spoke more about the concept of God and prophets and hereafter and Judgment Day, another Japanese student, equally brilliant, also raised a question, not about Judgment Day, about she didn't understand what it meant, but for her it was a strange concept. And she felt that why should humans wait until later after they die to find paradise when they should work harder here on earth to make it a paradise? It was quite an elegant argument, and of course we went into discussing it, but it showed also the different approaches to how people may think of some of the concepts that can be taken for granted among other people. Of course, in the case of the Japanese student and how she spoke about Judgment Day, we know that in the religions that believe in Judgment Day and the going to paradise accordingly, the assumption is that you will do as best as you can on earth to make it something as ideal as God has asked you to make it, so that you can be in paradise afterwards. But the concept itself, the assumption about life after death and so on, may not be shared at the same level by other people. Those two stories stood up for me, coming from brilliant people that I cherish so much, And it made me appreciate the diversity and differences, and also the opportunity that comes with this to be able to explain concepts that you otherwise wouldn't stop for a second to think about. And the issue of differences between cultures here is not just about religion. It can be about anything in your own culture that may be different and unknown to people from other cultures. And that should be, again, an opportunity for us to know how to connect and to learn and to share and to expand our knowledge together by explaining and learning from people where there are blind spots about such concepts, and how can we make sure that people understand them and share them. Not necessarily that we want everyone to agree with what we believe or what we grew up with, but for just to share and to learn with each other. This should be the main focus of how to work in a multicultural setting. I hope you found the story enjoyable and useful, and until more stories, in peace. Amr.